Hello again, people. Can't believe I'm making two of these today. Uh, I don't really have anything else to do, so fuck it. All I'm doing really is playing Fallout and talking to a not racist cat. And I'm kinda sick now. Anyway, what if I told you the US government once used a vampire not to scare civilians, but to fight a communist insurgency? Not a movie, not a creepypasta, but a Cold War psychological operation in the Philippines. Today we're talking about one of the strangest alleged psyops ever attributed to the CIA and how folklore became a weapon. So it's time to set the stage. The Philippines in the Cold War era. After World War II, the Philippines was dealing with a communist guerrilla group known as Huk Balahap, or simply the Hooks. They were battle-hardened, embedded in rural villages, fighting a government backed by the United States. Washington was terrified of another communist domino falling in Asia. Enter the U.S. intelligence advisors, psychological warfare specialists, and counterinsurgency experts. Now, here's the folklore angle. In rural Philippine folklore, there's a creature called the aswang. Depending on the region, it's described as a vampire, a shapeshifter, a monster that drains blood at night. Whether people literally believe it or are just afraid of the idea, the aswang had power. And psychological warfare is all about using fear. So, the alleged vampire operation. According to accounts popularized by writers and former intelligence figures, the U.S. advised Philippine forces tracked a hook patrol. One insurgent was captured or killed. His body was allegedly drained of blood. 2 puncture marks were made on the neck. The body was left there for others to find it. The message wasn't spoken, it was implied. The aswang is here. You don't belong. Soon after, the story goes, Hook fighters abandoned the area, unwilling to face something that they couldn't fight with guns. How solid is this story, though, you might be asking? Now, here's where we need to slow down. The story is often attributed to Edward Lansdale, a U.S. counterinsurgency expert, often repeated in books, lectures, and interviews, not fully documented in declassified operation records, and some historians believe a version of this happened, but it may have been exaggerated over time, or it was symbolic rather than literal blood draining. There is no evidence of a widespread vampire campaign, and no evidence civilians were targeted. This wasn't a takeover. It was localized psychological warfare during brutal insurgency. Why did this story blow up online? Is another question people have. Well, over time, CIA psychological warfare became the US government. Then FBI, then fake vampire invasion, then they took over a country. The internet loves a clean, scary story more than a complicated one. But the real lesson here isn't about vampires. Okay? The real takeaway, the real story is about fear, belief, and culture, and how it can be weaponized. No magic, no monsters, just humans exploiting what other humans are afraid of. And that's honestly more unsettling than any vampire. So, did the CIA unleash vampires on the Philippines? No. But did the Cold War intelligence agencies experiment with psychological warfare that crossed ethical lines? Absolutely. An example of this, Project MK Ultra. That's something I might talk about tomorrow, actually. But yes, they did all of that. If you want more stories like this, real history that sounds fake, just tell me. I'm willing to talk about it. I'm not beyond reason. As I said in one of my first of these video essays. Ha.